Okay, in this video we are going to be talking about plugs. Plugs that we cut off the ends of extension cords, power supplies, anything that we have that has a cord, and we cut the end of them off. Now in this pile here we have a variety. You got your ground plugs, you got your old standard two-prong plugs. We have several of those. Look at this one here. This is a very old one, but just a whole variety of different plugs here. And what would the scrapyard give me for this pile right here? Well, let's weigh it up. All right, so let's go ahead and weigh these up here. We'll get the scale turned on. Got it zeroed out. Throw these plugs on here and weigh it. And we come up with 1 pound of plugs. So the scrapyard that Charlotte and I go to, they pay 25 cents for a pound of these. So you see how big that pile is. That's 1 pound, and we can get a quarter for that. So is there an advantage of breaking them down and pulling these little brass pieces off of it and separating it? Well, let's do it and find out what is more beneficial, to sell them as is or to break them down and scrap them. All right, so here's our pile of plugs here. And I don't know that there's really a right way or a wrong way to pull these apart. There might be an easier way or a harder way. I know a lot of people will maybe throw these in a pot of boiling water and soften up the coating, or set them out in the sun for a couple hours and get those really soft so that they can pull the brass out easier. I don't know. These are all hard. These haven't been sitting in the sun. I haven't boiled them. They're just as they are. Hard, solid pieces, but this is how we're going to do it, and we're going to separate these. And I'm going to show you my method. Or, as you know, we're not a how-to channel. We're just this is the way we do it. And you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But I just put them in vices. Pair of channel locks. Well, you got to get them tight. Pull that right out. So here's the piece. Now, a lot of times you're going to get that extra piece of copper on them. I just twist that a couple times, and I will cut that piece of copper off and separate the brass from the copper. All right, so I'm going to start putting these in a little cup here so I don't lose them. Here we go. Twist it. All right, there's one. The ground plug usually just snaps right off. Ah, we got some copper on that one. Try to get a view of the clock here. We've been working on this for a couple minutes here. It is 8:25, so probably add a couple minutes to this. Yeah, some of them just snap and break. It's always nice to have a good vise too. Look, those all just snap. Okay, nice. Here we got ripped off on that one. Somebody already got the ground plug. A few more here. I think about 4 more, 5 more. And the last one here. This is one of those old-fashioned ones. It's got actually screws, and those are probably going to be brass screws or possibly copper. All right. All right. Let's double check to make sure these are copper here. Oh, look at that. That's a ripoff. That whole plug, look at that. The whole plug was steel. A couple of copper wires. All right, but what we did get is this. We're going to snip all this copper off here and separate it. Now I'm going to need another container here. Just cut those copper pieces off. Dump those out right here. Brass. And the rest are brass. Now, one thing I always do to make sure they're brass, you get the old magnet out. Yeah, so we're good there. All the copper is copper. And we have, let's see the time, 8:35. 12 minutes to do 1 pound of brass and copper. Well, let's go ahead and weigh it up here. So we're at zeros on this. I don't even know if this is going to weigh. Oh, yeah. So we got 0.2 tenths of a pound And then we got the copper here. And it didn't add anything on there. Very light. Tell you what, we're going to just add this as about 1/2 tenth of copper. So we got 2/10 of brass and 1/2 tenth of copper. Let's just do the math. All right, so when you do the math, out of that 25-cent pile of plugs, you're going to come up with something like this. And you're going to get 25 cents for the copper and 55 cents for the plugs for a total of 80 cents. So you turned that 25 cents into 80 cents. All right, so, to make an extra, what do we make, 55 cents? That calls on you. I guess you gotta decide whether it's worth it. Like I said, it took us about 12 minutes to do that. So if you figure you could do a pound in 10 minutes, that's gonna be 6 pounds in an hour. Is that worth your time? Last week's video that we did on the extension cords, the good news on that is our extension cord price went up to $2 a pound now. So all the more better to not scrap our extension cords. And I know a lot of people will say that they'll cut out the bad sections and make all sorts of smaller cords with new plugs. Hey, if that's your thing, go ahead. I don't know. We are not resellers, we are scrappers. And that's what we do. So thank you for watching our video. Charlotte's not going to be here today to close out with me, but I'll let her know we got some scrap that we got to get to the scrap yard so we can get paid. All right, thanks for watching.